Good evening, well, late afternoon, early evening. Um, I made a video a couple of days back and I titled it as a general hobby update, but it was all over the place, really, wasn't it? If anyone saw it, I've deleted it now. Went on way too long. I mean, this one will probably be a similar length. They all start out as like 10-minute videos and then it's like 40 minutes later. Yeah, I talked about various things. But this one is going to be all about wargaming. So um, I have almost finished the second batch that I began way back in January. Um, I thought maybe by painting in batches it might alleviate what a lot of us get, which is like a painter's block where you just can't be asked to pick up a paintbrush for a while. Like I say, I thought painting in batches, like 3 or 4 units at a time for various skills, various games, might stop that from happening. And it kind of did, but pardon me. I did find a bit of a block, but it was mainly to do with me dodgy health, which is getting slightly better, I must admit. And the eyesight isn't, that's really getting bad. But everything else seems to be getting sorted out to a certain extent. I feel a lot better. So the second batch, I had originally planned to do 2 units of Persian cavalry. I've done one. Where's he at? The leader. I mean, these are, I'm classing them as, I haven't done the basing, as you probably know if you've seen me other videos. I do like a batch and then I do the basing, like I have a basing day basically where I paint all the bases green or grey or whatever. And then base them up with some flock or in the case of my chaos stuff, it's going to be like a city fight kind of basin. So I'll have some gravel kind of with sharp sand, really. Builder's sharp sand. Get a massive bag of it for like £3. Lasts forever, really. That's if your dad doesn't nick some for his patio. But yeah, so yes, there's a Persian. He's the unit leader. I'm classing these as Greek allied because they've got a Boeotian helmet. No one really knows what Persian cavalry look like, what they dress like. Like I say, much of the Persian army, no one really knows what they look like. There are some artistic reliefs on, like, I think on vases or tombs or something, that show Persians dressed, Persian infantry, the immortals, are dressed in like a white, like a bed sheet basically, and they've got like I think it's purple or blue squares on them, and other ones have orange squares on them, I think. But we know that they are ceremonial dresses. They are not actually what they wore in battle. And I've seen a lot of people who've painted miniatures, obviously, that search around online for other people who've painted Persian miniatures. See how they've painted them, and I haven't painted mine like that. You've seen me Persian immortal infantry. They've got their armour and everything. Likewise, those cavalry. Other than the armour, it's like a blue, just all on one bodysuit kind of thing. And then I've got Gorgunter for the armour, lamella armour, leather armour. The shield is just like a wicker shield, so I painted that with Nasdreg yellow. These all contrast paints, Games Workshop contrast paints. Yeah, I've also I'm 99% of the way through my 15mm Baron's War stuff. I've just got the metal to paint on most of them, so there's another crossbowman. I know I did like a really bad tutorial on how to paint these. I had like 8 left of the unit and it's taken up to now to sort that kind of shit out. I'll see if I can bring these down without Absolutely dropping the bastards all out. Hey. Mission successful. I've made a start on the apothecary. Like I say, this second batch I'm nearly done. I've kind of added a little bit to it, and I've taken some away, which I'll explain in a second. Primaris, apothecary, Holland Griffins, be sorting him out as I go along. Still got a lot to do on him, really. Defiler for Epic. I've got 3 of those and 3 Predators. 99% finished them. The 15mm stuff, I've just based up a dozen Spearmen, which will be Welsh, so you know they'll be Declare, Retinue, Spearmen, Yellow Shields, Red Chevrons, or Chevronels, sorry, because there's more than one. There's only one Chevron, it's a Chevron. If there's more than one, they're called Chevronels, so now you know. Yeah. And like I say, a couple of lads that I know, they are just getting into 28mm Wars of the Roses, Hail Caesar rules, or whatever, everything, you know. And their unit sizes are going to be 4 miniatures on a 40x40 base, and then 4 bases make up a standard unit, 3 bases for a smaller unit. And I have some Was the Roses stuff I did 3-4 years ago, maybe even longer now. I got the Bill and Bow set from Perry's, and I got the Lancenecks. That's how I pronounce them. You pronounce them your way. And in the they're pikemen, Lancenecked pikemen. And in that box you get 30 miniatures. So I split mine into 2 units of 15, and then from the Perry's box set, because you get like a command element to the units as well. You can have 2 units in there, Bill and Bow. So what I've done is I've taken one of those commanders kind of thing and added them to these units. So it's 2 units of 16, which is perfect for a standard unit in the game that it's Shez and Chris have begun playing. I think Dave Carlton's got a few bits and bobs going, maybe a few others. So what I'll do is I'll show you. See, I painted these a while back. Well, one of these I didn't, I'll explain. So this is 1 unit of pikemen. As you can see, I've never based them, never used them. So I've rebased these because the glue I originally used was a load of crap and they kept falling off. All of the pikes are still in one piece, which is a miracle because I've painted a few units of 28mm English Civil War pikemen, and yeah, you just have to look at them and the bloody pike snaps. So I'm quite chuffed that these have survived. So that's like, say, 2 units of them, 1 in red and green, which you've just seen, and this one in blue and yellow. And these are armoured, the other ones aren't. One armoured. The leader of the unarmoured unit is this chap. I've painted them now. I only painted them a couple of days ago, but I'd put them together years back. I just never got around to painting them. Very, very basic, obviously. Just he's a lot of armour, and then on the back he's got a bit of a bum showing. So yeah, and then the leader of the blue and yellow unit there, this chap here, yeah, he looks better than he did a few days ago. I painted the blue and yellow one just the other day, and I did his face a bit better as well. So I'm quite chuffed with how he turned out, and these 2 units, which just just need basing on basing day. Now pike, mercenary pikemen, English armies were pretty much bill and bow, and we were well trained with the bill, which is like a large, it's a little bit like a halberd really, a bill. It's like a large long blade attached to a staff, two-handed weapon, so you couldn't carry a shield, for example. In this period, pretty much no one carried shields because the armour was that good. However, a lot of people were unarmoured still. Those first pike I showed you, for example, they don't have any armour. And it was the same for billmen. However, like I say, we were very well trained in it, and we fought. What was the battle we fought against Scotland? It was a Flodden. I think it was Flodden, where the Scots had loads of pike, because they were. What was a pinky clue? No, it was Flodden, I'm sure it was. The Scots had lots of pikemen, but they weren't very well trained in how to use the pike. Very unlike Robert the Bruce's army at Bannockburn, who, they were issued with long pikes, but they were well trained how to use them and how to use them on the attack as well, which is very rare. So the Scots lost the Battle of Flodden, and I think it was James the Fourth who died there. Yeah. It's gonna every time I do one of these videos, I waffle on about a little bit of history, and I'm like, is that right? I'm just making it up, is it? I'll have to check that. Was it James? No, it might have been James the Fifth. Might have been James the Fifth, because James the Sixth, he became James the First of England. Yeah, I'm going off on one. But I think I'm going to use those pikemen as Scottish mercenary pikemen. Like I say, I bought a box of Perrys and I based them up years back. But they are on 40 by 50 millimeter bases, and it's 6 to a base. So I'm going to have to take them up. I haven't actually based them up with like painted the bases and flocked them or anything. They're just like they are basically still. But I'm pretty sure I'll use super glue on their bases. So that's going to be interesting, trying to get them off. But yeah, I've got to order some bases in for the proper scale, 40 by 40. But I'm also, as you saw, there was only 2 pikemen on one stand there, so I'm keeping it so I can use these for other war games and just take like a miniature away for casualties kind of thing during those war games. It's something you can still do, like a unit of 4 bases of 4. Just record the casualties on a dice next to them, or some people actually put like rings around the heads, little like plastic rings, like around the head of someone who's died or something on a base, and I think it looks a bit daft personally. I'd much rather take a man away, because then it looks like a unit that's depleted. But yeah, it's each to their own with a lot of things in Wargaming. I've also finished, which I'm 99% sure I've showed, these beautiful bastards, Ungors. I've got one unit of 12 of them now, armed with bows. There'll be a unit of archers for lying rampant. I've got a dozen gauze as the class, but just basemen, or good old-fashioned style basemen. I've got some sprues left over to make another unit of Ungors. But I'm thinking of giving them spears and shields. Classing just as light infantry, basically. Titan, I haven't really painted him. I just based them. Now you might base coated him with lead belcher. You might notice he's got something like a bell or something like that on top. Chaos Titans can't have them. They're supposed to be a Chaos Titan allied with the Corn and Iron Warriors. So I don't know whether to do them up as just another Imperial Titan, or just well, just a bit of decoration kind of thing, you know what I mean? Might do that. I might just do that. See what happens. So yeah, that's, like I say, I've added the pikemen to that batch, which I'll base up 2 units of pikemen. But I took away from that for, sorry, I've also, these were part of the first batch as well. These are Chaos Cultists from the old Dark Vengeance box set. I painted those up first. I enjoy painting them. As you see, I give them a grey base because I'm going to be putting the quicksand, sharp sand on those bases. Oh, dare I show you these? These took me ages to paint, and when I painted them, I didn't have glasses and my eyesight was really bad. So, you know, you'll have to excuse the really, really shoddy paint work. Really, it's probably not the worst I've ever painted. You know, back in the day with yeah, that what was it? Humboldt Airfix Red enamel paint that I painted some blood angels with, and yeah, in fact it looked quite nice, you know, shiny arm on it. Yeah, but I painted them when I was like 12 or something like that. But yeah, there you go. Like I say, the gold trim is dreadful. I could probably give it a wash in certain places, but they just, all 5 of them were just a pain in the ass, and I just wanted them done and dusted, really. So yeah, that's, like I say, I've got a little bit, I've basically got the metal work to do on the 15mm stuff and the heraldry on the knight as well. I'll pluck a knight. I think everything else is pretty much painted. Yeah. And the heraldry is a bit complicated. It's like a red lion in the middle of the shield, and then around the edge of the shield is a really dark, like a midnight blue kind of Prussian blue border, with yellow dots around. I mean, the line doesn't look like a lion, basically, you know. From like 3 foot away, it still doesn't look like a lion. But it is what it is, you know. I don't know whether you can get transfers for 15mm stuff, but try and save a bit of money, maybe. And with them, I've got like 2 women and a king, by the looks of it. Yeah, paint them up as well. The epic stuff, yeah, could do with a couple of I need to put like a brass colour here and there, and that should do them. The cavalry's done, the basemen are done, sorry, pike are done. Apothecary needs work on, and the Titan, like I say, I might put the Titan back, add it to the next batch. In fact, I will do that, yeah. So really the major thing left to do on that lot is the Apothecary, which shouldn't take too long. I'm going to put Apothecary White contrast paint. Sure, that's what it's called. Yeah, and it's good shape. It's contrast paint too. Might get some ball bearings for them as well. I'm supposed to mix the colours better, but I don't know. So yeah, put like an Apothecary White on his armour, and then put some, is it ceramite white or Apraxi white or something like that, on, just to like smooth it, because the contrast paint on armour is fucking dreadful, as I know from my Howling Griffin army. Yeah. So the next batch, which won't include the well, I'll be basing that up as well when I base up the first batch. So what I'll add, so this second batch, now it includes cavalry, a unit of 6 cavalry, but this is like the command cavalry, so I've given them all this kind of horse with the animal skin saddle cloth. I've been watching videos on YouTube of how to paint like leopard skin, and it does look beautiful once it's done. My God, there's like 100 steps to it, and lots of very fine work. So yeah, I don't know. If someone knows a really easy way of painting like leopard skin on animal furs, then please let me know, or add a link in. You can't in the comments for some reason. I don't. I'll try and turn comments on, but any fatball people jokes, and I fucking love them. So yeah, this unit will have the Persian commander. That chop there, you saw it out. Yes, he has a great leg, because when I spray painted them, that's how I held them. And then I just paint the bit that I didn't spray paint with the output with one. Likewise, there's the standard bearer. These guys are armed with javelins, so they've got a bit of firepower. And they're going to be like elite cavalry, because it's the top boys, a bit like companion cavalry kind of thing. I think the rest of the cavalry will just be, you can't get like medium cavalry, I don't think. It goes heavy cavalry, then light cavalry, doesn't it? So probably just heavy cavalry for the rest. I mean, technically, when I bought all the bags that they came in, the Victrix miniatures, I got 2 bags, and hence why I put all 6 horses the same in one unit, because you get like 6 of each, 3 of each kind in each bag. And they were Persian heavy cavalry, so yeah, should be fine doing that. So, well, just put these on here. These are the Spearmen that I just based up today. Super glue on a 20 by 20, 15mm. Casualty. Oh, I put my head on the table. I need a medic now. Taking my piss. Right. So to get the Essex miniatures, 15mm, blah blah blah. For the second Barons War project, which I've talked about. At the moment, it's going to be Gilbert de Clare, also known as Gilbert the Red, and the Duke of Cornwall, who was also King Henry the Third's younger brother. Not only was his younger brother, not only was he Duke of Cornwall, he was also, at the time, they called it King of the Romans, so he was leader of what would eventually become the Holy Roman Empire. So yeah, he had lots of wealth and held lots of lands, had a prominent marriage as well. So he can afford lots of mercenaries, hence the crossbowmen and the slightly heavier cavalry that I've done for him. Whereas Gilbert de Clare, he was Earl of Tunbridge. Later, was he? Yeah, I think it was later when he got his Welsh lands as well, and became Earl of Pembroke as well. Yeah. So yeah, I want to build like 2 retinues in 15mm for that conflict. conflict. Again, just using line rampant rules, a great rule set. Speaking of rules, thank God Games Workshop were bringing out 10th edition 40k, because 9th edition was fucking horrendous. A couple of weeks back, I mean, I was ill, so I'll start off there. I set up a table in my room, my hobby room next door. Set up all the terrain. I had every intention in the world of playing out a game of 40k. I counted how many PowerPoints I had in my entire Howland Griffin force, which was 78. I think it was 78. Or it could have been 88 actually. And then I kind of matched it in what I had with orcs, because I've got quite a few orcs. And yeah, I think I had 90 PowerPoints for the orcs, and then 88 for the Howland Griffins. Got the Ark of Covenant. It's Indiana Jones. Arks of Omen, little tournament rulebook, or whatever the hell it's called. Games Workshop in York. When I visited there, early February, I think it was, late January. Like I say, I set the table up, just pick the first mission in the book. You know, stupid plans to play through all the missions, so I could like get used to playing 40k. And by the end, I'd be like, I wouldn't need to check anything. I'd just be rolling stuff and done all that. I had the All Codex, Space Marine Codex. I had all the cards and everything ready to go. Tiggly boo. Played the first turn. I was like, fucking hell, this is a bit dull, like. Actually, both sides just moved forward. I think maybe 2 shots in the first turn or something, like the repulse had a shot or something. Maybe my Bonebreaker battle wagon thing had a shot as well, I can't remember. Both missed. Second turn, I think I played the whole of the second turn actually, and then obviously you count up how many points each person has, different objectives, things like that. Going through all the rules as well, so I definitely didn't miss any rules. I think a killer kind of taken a few wounds, and a couple of Primaris Space Marines. Hey dog. Yeah, sorry. Whilst we were with the dog. Yeah, a couple of Primaris Space Marines had died, and then like halfway through the second turn, it was a bit of close combat and that. I was just constantly in the books, and it was boring life out me. And it had got like, it was about 1 in the morning, and I got like halfway into turn 2, I think. I thought, I'll just play the rest tomorrow. And then tomorrow came, and I was like, I can't be asked, quite frankly. And then the day after, and it was about like 3 or 4 days later, I just decided, fuck it, I'll pack it all away. Can't be asked, cannot be asked. So I packed it all away, and yeah, it was just boring as out. And me and the nephew had a quick game of Line Rampant a few days ago. Loved it, yeah, both of us loved it. All train and that. Didn't record it, but my nephew wouldn't. Yeah, he just beat me. I was the Normans, he was the Danes. He kept calling the Vikings, little boy. And yeah, the Norman cavalry just doesn't want to move, does it? Doesn't want to. It doesn't want to get involved. Quite happily let the peasants just get slaughtered by the Danes until they come a little bit close, and then it's like, oh, we better do something. But by then it was over. It was over, man. Yeah. So yeah, thank God, 40k bringing out new rules. Was it streamlined but not simplified or something like that, or maybe the other way around? simplified but not streamlined. No, it must be the other way around, because it was a fucking shite game. And I also I watch quite a few wargaming channels on YouTube, and a lot of the 40k ones I've been very, very bored with. Obviously, the 9th edition game, I like it when I can. Like, I used to watch ball action videos, and I used to have the rule book, and I used to follow along with the rules that were being played on the game on the screen, and it was a good way of learning how to play ball action, and it was a good way of getting some tips, things like that. Certain tactics and what you should be using to do this and do that. With the 40k, it's impossible to do that, because you need like 3 or 4 books with you at one time, and these people on the channel, they just rolling dice and they don't explain anything, or they're just saying like, oh, it's 5, so hit that, and by the time you've checked it up, it's turn 2 and things like that. I was recommended a channel to watch. See, I'm quite interested in like competitions, basically. Like sports, it's as much about who's top of the league, who's getting relegated, who's qualified for playoffs or something like that. I'm very interested in that. Like I enjoy watching, not so much playing, watching games of FIFA and PES and NHL, the games themselves, from EA, yes, Electronic Arts, and like watching leagues and that. Just, I don't know why, just enjoy it. And somebody, like I say, somebody recommended a channel to me it was a 40k channel. And is it Warpfire 40k or Warp Time 40k, something along those lines. And they advertise themselves as having the best 40k players in the world playing in these tournaments and everything. And I thought, oh, that'd be mint. I'd love to watch that, get some tips. I'll get some, see how it looks. The scenery must be brilliant, because obviously the top players, so and I watched it, and they had like all the different camera angles and jazzy background, so it looked like a computer screen on like a spaceship somewhere or something. Had like the points totals and each turn, each point and all that, and it looked okay around the edges and everything. Obviously, the game itself, the table for starters, the scenery was absolutely shite. The dog could make better, really. They had these high walls. Now, it was the one I began to watch. I didn't watch all of it. I might have watched a couple of hours of it. It went on for about 3.5, 4 hours, but I might watch a couple of hours of it. The scenery was it was Ultramarines versus Harlequins, and these Primaris Marines, the scenery was symmetrical, so no one could gain an advantage for how they set up or where they set up, kind of thing, which is good for a tournament. That's how it should be, really. But it just looked like something a 5-year-old had made. It was like polystyrene sheets with like bits of plastic just stuck to it, and then spray painted black, and then fucking dry brushed red or something. And even the armies look the same. They'd just been spray painted one colour and then dry brushed another colour, and it just looked shite. If these are the best players in the world, then fuck's sake, buy a decent looking army or paint a decent looking army. I mean, I'm a load of shite in both senses. I can't paint for shite, and I can't really play for shit either. I just enjoy playing a game that looks good. It's more cinematic for me than what they were playing with, and also how they were playing as well. It was very much hiding behind walls, not giving the enemy line of sight to your units, which also meant you couldn't shoot at them. There was the Ultramarine player. I don't know how he did it, but he had one unit on 2 sides of a wall, and the wall was like the height of my hand, the height of an adult hand, okay? And the Primaris Marine is what that. And yet, for some reason, they were moving basically either through the wall, but they weren't being able to get shot through the wall, which was weird, or they were jumping over. And I thought that was a load of crap. Is that in the rules? I don't know. Can you do that? Can you split your unit in two like that? Just seemed fucking daft. There was an objective on this side of the wall. You had one Primaris next to the objective. The other four in the squad were on this side in a line. And I think it was only when this guy got contacted in close combat, I don't think he could get shot at, or if he got shot at, these got a better save, because, you know, it just didn't, it was just shite. Is that a rules thing? I don't know. Was it just the way they were playing? Possibly. The Harlequin player, fuck me, I mean, both of them were always, oh, I've forgotten to do this, I've forgotten to do that, can I do this? And it was on everything as well. It wasn't just one or two things. It was pretty much every phase they were forgetting to do something, and then, oh, can I just go back and do that? And that was annoying as well, considering that they're supposed to be the top players in the world, apparently. And the Harlequin player, he was getting away with inch creep, I call it, where, you know, you just do like a measurement for 6 inches, but when you're moving your men, you move them quickly, and you actually move 7 or 8 inches. And I fucking hate that, because to me that's cheating, basically. But he was doing it all the effing time. Oh, it was like, oh, well, I've moved that there, but I want to move this here now. So I'll just move that out of the way and gain an extra 3 fucking inches. And then I'll put this where that was, and that kind of thing. And his opponent was just thick as pig shit, I think. He was like, yeah. So I did not enjoy that at all. Yeah. But I watched it for about 2 hours, hoping it was going to get better. It didn't get better. And I don't know who they're trying to kid with the best players in the world, because, like I say, it was just awful. It really was. And it also brought home the fact that the game itself is boring as hell, because even they were like checking rule books and things like that constantly. And there's a number of channels like that on YouTube that I don't like. I've unsubscribed to quite a few. I'm still subscribed to them, and they do, I can't remember the name of the channel. I don't think it's called this, but they do these videos, and it's 40k in 40 minutes, so they condense it down to 40 minutes. But there's a couple of the people who play the games who are annoying as hell. My worst case scenario for going to play somebody, saying like a fantasy game, like or sci-fi game like 40k, like say I was going to play 40k, and I turned up, and my opponent turns up dressed as, you know, Magnus the Red or something like that, you know, something ridiculous, or as an orc, or talks like an orc as well. I used to go to another wargaming club, and grown men, grown ass adults talking to each other as other goblins, you know, or dwarves or something like that, or elves or whatever. And there is a brilliant YouTube channel called Strike and Scorpion 82, and he plays games. He kind of has a tournament. A lot of the tournament games get played, only get shown to, you know, people who subscribe to his channel, as a Patreon, something like that. So you don't see like every game that he plays. But the games he normally plays, they're normally good games. However, there is one Imperial Guard player, and I just mute the bastard basically when he's talking about what units he's got and everything. And then, you know, during the game as well, he sometimes chimes in and he catches you off guard, so you can't mute him. And he's just like, oh, fucking hell. You know, it's people like that who, you know, people who are in the hobby get nervous because they think they're going to get judged by other people. And then you've got people like that who get those people beaten up, basically. You know what I mean? And it's over the top and it's crap. And I always say, if it's for you, it's for you, fair enough. It's your life, do what you want. But just think about other people as well, you know? The things you do don't just reflect on you. You're a wargamer. Don't be a dickhead wargamer. Don't cheat at games and things like that. I mean, one of the most devastating things that happened to me, actually, I was accused of cheating in a game. I heard this, I beat this fellow at ball action, and it was, I very rarely won at ball action. And I played him, and I beat him fair and square, absolutely mullered him. And it was just, you know, all war games. It's just luck of the dice, really. And I played quite a few games, so I'd say I was fairly experienced. I don't think he had played that many games, but I gave him a good person. And then I was cleaning the terrain up and everything because it was my terrain. And I heard him bitching to some mates at the back of the room about where my dice came from. Yeah. And hopefully my mates will put them straight, but I don't think they did, which, again, yeah, I was absolutely gutted about that. It put me off Wargaming for a bit, to tell the truth. But yeah, but his wife was an even bigger asshole. But yeah, less about that. She was, yeah. But you do get those people in Wargaming. Likewise, like I say, it just isn't for me, and I don't think it's something that should be promoted about the game either. You know, there are certain games where, like if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, where it's a role playing game, fair enough. You know, come dressed as Gandalf, I couldn't give a toss because you're playing that game. You know, but if you're playing like a war game, yeah, I don't, it's a harsh one. I know I sound like I know it saying it like this, but yeah. But that's my thoughts on it anyway. And like I say, the YouTube channels. I follow like not just 40k channels, obviously. There's some great other channels out there. There's a fellow called Von Ketteringham who does Line Rampant, large scale games as well. Excuse me. He's great. He does like painting tutorials and he shows you what he's been doing, updates and everything, a little bit like what I've just done there, kind of thing, but it's much better. He's great. Seventh Son as well does a lot of different war games, including Line Rampant. Oh God. He does like Black Powder, Napoleonics. He does Hail Caesar, Wars of Roses as well. I think that's where Chris and Dean have got their inspiration from for this project. Who else do I watch? Miniature Wargaming, I think from Canada. I'm sure they're from Canada anyway. They're good. A couple of them are a little bit, you know, over the top as well, so that, sadly. Who else do I watch on a regular basis? The Irish lads, is it On Tabletop? I quite like them. The bald-headed fella's a bit annoying. He is. Sorry. They do a lot of good reviews about different war games as well, though. They sometimes play test them and show you how to play different war games. They've got, well, first edition Bolt Action. They did a series of 2 videos, and they were brilliant, really, for getting into the first edition Bolt Action. But this is the second edition now. Yeah, I'd recommend them. There's probably hundreds more that I've subscribed to and followed, and lots of different painting channels as well, obviously. You know, Warhammer itself has a decent painting channel. And I noticed that a lot of people, well, me included, had complained about them using like 500 paints on one miniature, different paints for different shades and everything. But recent videos, it's been like, oh, these 10 paints that you can paint this miniature with. So yeah. So what happened to the, you know, you need this massive list of hundreds, well, not hundreds, but maybe 50 paints in Holland, so 20 to 50 paints just for like a one decent miniature or something. But obviously, I've been saying for years, you don't need that many paints. You know, you got washers, you can like thin your paints down, and you can just add a little bit of white or a little bit of like a cream colour or sandy colour to, you know, low tones, and you can add like a grey or a black even, or like a really dark brown or something to make different colours a lot darker as well. So yeah, you don't need hundreds of paints. That's it. I do own hundreds of paints, really old ones as well. Like I've still got the original blacktop Games Workshop paints. I don't know if I've got any handy at the moment. Yes, I do. I've got fucking loads there. Those bad boys, blazing orange. Does it smell? Do you smell your paint? It's like that. It's hard to describe kind of smell. You don't get high for a day. Fucking hope that. I'm sniffing the walls next. I'll ruin that paint section up there. So yeah. So I've talked about what I've painted, what I'm going to paint, what I'm going to base and everything. Well, I say what I'm going to paint. Part of my next batch will be, like I said, I've already said, another unit of Ungors with spears. I got, oh, where the hell's that? I've tidied it away. I got a box of Wargames Atlantic Goth Warriors. Again, it was on a recommendation. I think it was on Tabletop actually. I watched, and they were reviewing the box as well. And I'm thinking of starting up an Irish warband, similar time period to the Normans and the Danes that I've got. But these Goth warriors, they're very basic really. They're dressed in like civilian kind of clothes. You can arm them with bows, you can arm them with axes, swords or spears, or, and you have the option of giving them small shields, I'd say, small round shields. Not like a buckler, but like a larger circular shield. Or you can just leave them like the one hand barehanded, which I think I'll do. You get 30 in the box. So obviously that's 2 units of whatever you want, and then you've got 6 men left over. I'm pretty sure I can make another 6 men from other things like the Danish that I got, Victrix Danish, and the Wargames Atlantic Persians as well. If I can get like another 6 infantry done with those, I really just need the body because I've got the swords and things from the Goth Warriors box. Then I can make like 3 units. I might make another unit of archers, and these are just like generic figures for any of the forces I've got, or I'd like to say I can start the Irish with them maybe, and just give them plain clothes and use them as like levy infantry for whatever, or light infantry for the Irish basically. So yeah, so I want to, I'll probably put 12 of them together as the first unit of those. And also I'm hoping to be able to base up my bill and bow that they were painted way back when, not very well. I basically base painted them, then slopped on a load of null wash, what's it called again? Null oil wash. But back then I'd never used washers before or anything like that, so I was just like painting, making sure the base colours were spot on, and then just washing over, and I was like, oh, that's better than I've painted before, so that'll do. But now I know that, you know, if you go back over the base colours, you can highlight certain areas, things like the armour, for example. So I might do that with these because they're very dark compared to the pikemen. They're still quite bright, even though they got the same kind of treatment. I might have watered down the wash when I washed them. Now, seeing my health's getting better, start coughing. Got dry throat now. Talking too much. It's all the negative energy follows way too far in the geek scale. Geeks who talk like it all, they come to haunt me now. So yes, I want a unit of 12 of them, and I also want a unit of, I was going to do a unit of infantry, but I think I'll do a unit of cavalry. And that's for the War of Austrian Succession, Spanish Succession, sorry, so it's like 1701, 1713, 14, something like that. I have 4 units already done for, I've got 2 units for the Alliance of for the Grand Alliance, sorry, and then 2 units of the Sun King's army, basically the French who are allied with the Bavarians. So I've got a unit of the French Garde du Corps, which are like obviously the guardsmen basically for the French. So they have a dark blue jacket, red red colours, which are cuffs, collar, and facings as well on the jackets itself. And the turnbacks for the coats as well, because the coats were that long, they got turned back, and the colour underneath was the same as the cuffs and everything. So, like I say, blue and red. However, at the time, the French army wore white. There was only the garde du corps who wore blue and red. And I think the Swiss guards, they wore red and blue, like same kind of thing. But I haven't done those yet. And I've got a unit of Bavarians who wear the cornflower blue of Bavaria. So I've got those two units on one side. On the other side, I've got a unit of, Scottish, technically, British infantry. Can't remember the name of the infantry unit now, maybe Campbell's or something like that. It's basically red coats with yellow trim, turn back sleeves, collar and everything. I've got those, and those three units were all painted by a lad called Thomas Wood. It was a mate of mine, Wargaming buddy. Haven't played together for a while, actually, to tell the truth. I haven't seen him for a while. But he used to paint this. He was going to paint two massive forces for me, but then I lost my job and couldn't afford to pay him, unfortunately, because he's an exceptional painter. He really is. I seem to know quite a few like top end painters. I don't think they're famous at all, but they are really, really good. Yeah, pretty much everyone knows actually he's a really, really good painter. Like Chris Frazee, Luke Verity, Ian Sherrington, Dave Carlton, Thomas Woods. I'm sure there's some I've missed off, sorry lads. But yeah, really, really good painters. Like I said, those three units were painted by him. I've painted a unit of infantry. It took me a while, but it was last year, no, 2 years ago now I last painted the infantry, and it's a regiment of Badenburgers, so various German states, Baden. Basically just a red uniform with a white cravat, and the hats are different to the nut tricorns, basically. It's like a big floppy hat that I gave them just to distinguish them. So with those, that's obviously black powder. I could use them for black powder. I'd need at least one more unit per side, infantry wise, to play black powder, and then a couple of units of cavalry and an artillery piece. However, if I get like a unit of cavalry each, which is in Pikeman's Lament, is 6 men strong, then I can play a couple of games of Pikeman's Lament, which is very similar. I made that mistake in the last video that I've deleted. Very similar to Lion Rampant in the rules wise and everything. That's weird. And you know, I play it on my table and keep painting units to add to it. So it's basically like 12-man units, which I can get 4 units of infantry from each side, which is quite good. And then if I paint like 2 units of cavalry each side, which will be 2 units of 6 each side. So in larger games, they can form up into one big unit, probably. And maybe hold the artillery for a while. So if I can paint like 2 units of cavalry, I think that'll do me, and I'll start playing some Pikeman's Lament. The rules came out after Lion Rampant. Like I say, they're very similar in the game mechanic, basic game mechanic. But the campaign progression kind of thing is a lot more varied, and it's larger simply because it came out later than Lion Rampant, and it's been worked on obviously and play tested. So I'm quite looking forward to getting it like a little mini campaign going as well. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I've already got the rules just over there. I've got most of the Osprey rules. Yeah, again, you know, I make plans and they never seem to come to fruition. Can't speak today. So I'm thinking of doing like 12 cavalrymen, maybe 6 from like a British unit and 6 from a French unit. And yeah, just seeing how they go. And then maybe the next batch doing another 12, and then like I say, I can start getting kicked in with some Pikeman's Lament games maybe. And I think that's all I'm going to do for the next round, which is quite a lot in fact for the next batch. So it's like, you know, 6 Persian Cav, a dozen 15 mil for the Barons War, Second Barons War, 12 of the Goth Warriors, we'll call them that. Another 12 Ungors with spears, and 12 cavalry as well. So yeah, that's a big batch. But I'm thinking of doing it like unit at a time, maybe this time round, seeing if that goes quicker. Who knows? Because I blitzed those Chaos Cultists off in like the first week or something, because like I say, I enjoy painting on them. Whereas the rest, the Persian cavalry, took forever, absolutely forever. But I was ill, like I say. So we'll see how it goes, see what happens. As you'll notice, I haven't talked about English Civil War yet. Nearly an hour in, I haven't talked about the English Civil War. We're going to do the 10mm project. We all bought miniatures. Well, I say we all bought. There's about 4 or 5 of us bought miniatures. Made a start painting them, but in the meantime, between my last video and now, obviously, Warlord have come out with their new epic scale, which is going to be for the 17th century, so it's English Civil War and the 30 Years' War. Now, I haven't really seen any of my other Wargame buddies mention they're going to start up the epic, like English Civil War or whatever. But on the other flip side is they haven't really talked about doing it in the 10mm either, which we all started. So for me personally, I've stopped the 10mm stuff. I didn't mind painting them at that scale, but if I'm the only one with an army at that scale, then, you know, what a load of wasted time, really. So I've pre-ordered a box of infantry, so I'll be able to get, I think you get 3 regiments of infantry in one box, so that should be good. I'm going to take the risk and not paint for 2 armies at once like I normally do. I'm going to all 3 of those. I'm thinking of doing a Catholic Spanish army for the 100 Years' War, which might surprise people to know me, because they know I'm very, very interested in the English Civil War, but there's a lot of bullshit flying about it. You know, I mean, people who get, I don't know whether they claim to be like experts on the English Civil War, but people recommend them as, go and watch this fella's channel because he knows a lot about the English Civil War. And then you listen to him speak and he's like, no, he doesn't. Yeah, basically, he has no clue. And even Warlord games themselves, you know, they brought out what units will be used for and everything kind of thing, and they've got a few things wrong as well. So so a couple of myths I'll dispel now. Not all parliamentarians wore the same coloured sash, which was red for parliamentarians, or was it red, orange? I'm sure it was orange for royalists and red for parliamentarians. All royalists should have worn an orange sash to denote their allegiance to the king. The parliamentarian forces, various associations they were called, the coloured sash that they wore was based on the colour favoured by their commander. So the reason most people say red is because the Earl of Essex, Robert Devereux, he liked the red sash as an officer's colour. So his units wore red sashes at the Battle of Edgehill and during the campaign against the King's Oxford Army and his army as well. So a lot of people I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, you should give these red sashes and these orange sashes. But that wasn't the case. For example, the other Manchester, he had a different colour. So on and so forth. Different commanders, the Fairfaxes would have had a different colour as well. But the Royalists, pretty much, you can get away with all orange. And also, a lot of people, I mean, you know, you get King Charles is a figure you can get as a commander, and you know, a lot of people have been saying, oh, he started the war, he raised his banner in Nottingham to signal the start of the war, and he's like pretty much sole responsible for the war starting, and that isn't true either. I'm not much of a royalist. I like the Queen. I thought she was amazing. Gutted when she died. Thought she'd done a lot for this country, right up to pretty much the day she died as well. A lot of respect for her. The rest of them, I'm not really that fussed, quite frankly. Charles I as well. I think he definitely gets a bad rep, basically. I mean, we still believe propaganda that was written by the parliamentarians, you know, nearly 4 centuries ago now. So I won't go into too much details of how lots of people were responsible for the start of the English Civil War. The two main players are, yes, Charles and a fellow called John Pym, who was de facto leader of Parliament. Parliament already had an army before Charles did. Parliament was already was trying to tell the king what to do, and the king was agreeing to a hell of a lot of it, but there were certain things he just couldn't agree with. He would have been a puppet ruler, ruled by Pym and Parliament, mainly Pym as the head of the Parliament, de facto head, not actual head. I think if I was Charles, I would have fought as well. Like I say, Parliament already had an army. The trained bands of London were like a militia, a bit like what the Army Reserve is now, the old territorial army. Reasonably well trained. They had weapons, uniforms, banners. And they pretty much chased, well, them and the apprentice boys, you know, who were, a lot of them were, yeah, a lot of them were part of the trained bands, and a lot of them were like, you know, well in there with Parliament. They chased Charles out of the capital, and he had to come north. He went to Hull because there was arms at Hull. It was an arsenal. And the governor of Hull refused him entry. So he had to get arms and armour from somewhere to form an army. He then went to Nottingham. Then he went back to Hull to get some arms after he'd raised his banner for supporters to come and help him against Parliament, because Parliament already had an army. Now, one of the regiments, the leading regiments in the early parliamentarian army, was formed by Lord Brooks. And Brooks had actually formed his regiment months before Charles had raised his banner. So, you know, I believe it was July 1642, he built his own little army to fight for Parliament. And they fought Edgehill. His units there, they wore purple coats, purple jackets. And like I say, he was forming an army, and other parliamentarians were as well. So, like I say, a Parliament had an army, and they wouldn't use it to keep Parliament in power above the king. And the king needed supporters, so that's why he raised his standard at Nottingham. It blew down in a storm on the first night. His standard was erected the next day. It was a bad omen, obviously. And he gained supporters that way, and his supporters went back to Hull and said, like, you know, we need those armaments, we need the gunpowder, muskets and everything, pike. And that party actually got shot at by the garrison of Hull. So that's really the first shots fired in anger, long before Powick Bridge and Edgehill was actually at Hull, and it was, you know, the parliamentarians shooting at the royalists. So yeah, so when people say, well, King Charles, he started the Civil War, he was definitely a part of starting the Civil War. Some of the decisions he made were bad decisions. But yeah, he he gets a lot of sympathy from me because, like I say, not many people know that, like I say, a Parliament even had an army before he did, or they were fired at. And what would you do in his shoes if that was you, in his build-up shoes, because he was quite small. Yeah, it's a bit like I was watching Chris Rock's latest Netflix comedy show. The scene that has the soles on his shoes, and I was just thinking, if King Charles the First was alive today, he'd have them bastards. Yeah. Yes. So a couple of little myths that are kicking around. And yeah, if anyone mentions, oh, this fella's, he knows a lot about the English Civil War, believe me, I've seen them all probably, and they don't really. And I'm not saying I'm an absolute expert on the English Civil War, but I've read a lot of different accounts. I've read a lot of books. I've read a lot of like first-hand accounts as well, and other historians will quite happily read them, but they'll, somehow forget the main important bits, and then just give you the same old bullshit they were taught at school. Because the bullshit they were taught at school was taught to the people who taught them. The people who taught them were taught that bullshit by the two people who taught them. And then it goes back to the Victorian period where no one really knew what the fuck was going on. They made up a lot of shit, and they still believed in the parliamentarian propaganda. For example, Oliver Cromwell never technically ruled Parliament. He disbanded Parliament and installed what we call a republic. Wasn't a democratic republic. They were just his friends ruling parts of the country. For example, where I live in County Durham, Sir Arthur Hailswick was made governor of Newcastle, but he lived in Bishop Auckland, and he was, a prominent parliamentarian, friend of Oliver Cromwell. He wasn't elected to that position. The father of democracy, I've heard Cromwell mentioned. I'm slightly going, Cromwell's a bastard, kind of. But we'll get to that in later videos, I think. So yes, a few people might be wondering, why is he going with a Spanish 30 Years War army? And I kind of know a fair bit about Protestant armies in the 30 Years War, the Swedish army, the Danish army, a lot of the Bohemian states as well. Well, less so about them, tell the truth, but the Danish and the Swedes, I know a fair bit about their armies, the composition, what they wore and everything. Spanish armies, less so, quite frankly. Right now, off the top of my head, I would say that they didn't have a uniform. I'd say they just wore like civilian kind of clothing, so lots of greys, whites, browns, things like that, or just basic colours, blue and red, green, but all mixed up together, not like a uniform. But I will do some research into all this and see what the crack is at the time, and then paint them up accordingly. And if I enjoy painting them, and I'll probably get an army box set, or one like the battle box set kind of things with a bit of scenery or something. I don't know yet. Like I say, that's way off in the future. That's Cromwell is a twat kind of future. Yeah, get ready for that. So yeah, that's the English Civil War. Those three up to. I think that's it, Wargame wise. Oh, scenery wise, me and my niece, we made some MDF buildings that I bought about 2 years ago, or maybe it was only 1 year ago, to tell the truth. I don't know the name of the company. I should really write this kind of shit down and like be more organised, shouldn't I? Bought them off eBay, and they're like a very bog standard building build, and then you attach like timber framing to the outside to make it look like a very late medieval or early Tudor building. Doesn't have a chimney on, so it must be like a very early Tudor building. Because no, should I? Yes, I will. The Tudor period, that's when people start attaching kitchens to houses, and before that, a kitchen or a cooking place was always away from the house, or even in the city, you would take your meat basically to a butcher's, to a baker's, and they would cook the meat. And that still went on in the Victorian period. I mean, if you watch the cartoon, the Disney version of Christmas Carol, they take their goose to be cooked elsewhere because they don't have an oven in the house. And in the medieval period, that was certainly the case. You know, you might see a big hall with a fire in the middle, but they didn't cook on that fire. That was for heat. They might keep a bowl of pottage on that fire, like the central hearth, but the cooking fires were always at the kitchen, which was a separate building, or even just outside if it was nice weather kind of thing, you know, on a spit roast or something. And it wasn't until, like I say, the Tudor period where people had attached kitchens, and that's where the term fitted kitchen comes from. And a lot of people will say, no, fitted kitchen is where it has cupboards fitted to the inside of the kitchen, but that's not the case. The term fitted kitchen comes from when kitchens were fitted onto usually on the back of a house, or the side of a house, obviously. It'd be pretty hard to put one on top of a house, wouldn't it? But yeah, usually at the back of a house, and it was usually a fireplace